Thanks everyone for joining in today. Obviously, our kind of weekly men's golf media availability joined this week by David Laskin as well as Jim Anderson. We'll start with questions for David and getting him knocked out first, and then we'll move over to questions for Coach Anderson. So at this time, Seth and Rich, I'll throw over to Seth first, and then Rich.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Seth Lewin, Arizona Daily Wildcat. So, David, how do you keep the momentum going from the win at the Intercollegiate?
Yeah, I think it was a really good win for us at the Intercollegiate, but I think we're still pretty hungry. In my 4 years, we've won 4 times at the Arizona Intercollegiate, and we've never won away from home. So I think like taking this momentum from a win at home into a tournament with a really good field at the Prestige is hugely important, and I think we're really hungry to get a win away from home.
And then how much experience do you have at PGA West? How many times have you played the course? Are you comfortable with it?
I've never played this course. I've played PGA West a few times. Like there's probably 7 or 8 PGA West courses down there. I've played those a few times in junior golf, but I've never played the Norman course. But I mean, I've watched a little bit of the live stream from last year, and it kind of looks like a pretty traditional desert style course, something that we're pretty used to here in Tucson. So I think we kind of know what to expect a little bit, just as with the desert course, kind of desert landscape and kind of like the green complexes. I've played some Greg Norman designs before, so it's usually a ball striker's paradise.
Yeah. So would you say ball strike is the strength of your game? And then what are you trying to most improve also?
Yeah, I would say my ball striking generally is pretty good. I tend to keep it pretty straight off the tee and on grass most of the time. And into the greens, I kind of pride myself on hitting my irons really well. So I would say ball striking is definitely probably one of my strengths. But I mean, improvement wise, sometimes my attitude gets a little wayward, but it's always a thing to improve mentally and stuff like that. Obviously my putting, I wouldn't say it's like a weakness, but I could say definitely could use some improvements. And if I get good speed on the greens and at PGA West, I think I'll have a really good shot at make a bunch of birdies.
Then last one for me, what kind of things did you plan and tournament wise to stay sharp between when COVID stopped last season and to the Copper Cup?
Yeah, I played quite a bit. In March, April, I played in a few Outlaw Tour events, which is a professional mini tour up in the Phoenix area. So I played in quite a few, 3 or 4 of those, kind of like March, April. And then over summer, I played in a bunch of big amateur stuff. I played the Southern Amateur, the Western Am, and the U.S. Amateur. When I got back to school, we didn't really have anything in the fall. So outside of like a Ryder Cup team and a couple other team competitions. So I played in a couple local amateur series that they had, and one up in Phoenix, and then also a couple PGA Tour pre-Qs and Monday qualifiers. So I try to just stay sharp and just keep playing as much as possible. That's
it for me. Thank you.
Thanks.
David, talk to me about your team and your teammates. What are personalities like? Who are big personalities on the golf team?
I would say we have some pretty mellow personalities. I wouldn't say we have a bunch of like kind of in your face guys that kind of just try to be this huge personality with big egos. We're all very similar. I think we have a pretty good culture in that way, where we just kind of just put our heads down and we kind of grind. We don't really try to show off and be that big personality. I think we mesh pretty well together. I mean, we do have some good camaraderie within the team, some good competition, but I wouldn't say there's any big personalities like that on the team.
Who's the funniest?
I mean, there's a few guys that have some sneaky funny guy stuff. Like Briggs will say a lot of just sneaky one-liners that you wouldn't really expect. Brad, he's my roommate, so we're together all the time. So obviously me and him, we have this kind of same sense of humor. So he gets me going a few times, and he gets kind of everybody going. He'll just say some stuff that just makes you laugh.
So it kind of sounds like you've got a room full of grinders that are kind of quiet, keep their head down, but ultra competitive.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say crazy quiet. I wouldn't say also like the super loud, but yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty spot on right there.
Let's talk a little bit about the momentum that the team has going into this event. Talk about the season so far, and if you guys started getting close to playing your best team golf.
Honestly, I felt at the Arizona Intercollegiate, like we played well, obviously we won, but it's our home course and we play there all the time. I mean, I think we played pretty average, honestly. Like it just like was one of those tournaments where we just know the course so well that other teams were going to kind of struggle, especially with the elements. But we just played our normal golf. It wasn't our best golf, but it was definitely good enough to get the job done. So I think there's definitely some room for improvement. We made a few big numbers here and there at home. So if we kind of clean those mistakes up at other tournaments, especially against these good teams that are going to be at the Prestige, I think we'll have some success as we make less mistakes and start playing our best golf come May.
So the event itself, give me your thoughts on going up there, the competition you're going to face, and what are your individual and team goals at this event?
I mean, it's to win every tournament. I think every player on our team thinks, on our starting five, think we can win every event we go to, and then also as a team, we think we can win as a team to every event we can go to. Especially I mean, there's going to be some good teams there, but I mean, I think we're one of the best teams in the country. We're so solid top to bottom. We don't really have any players that are like, oh, this guy might struggle here. Oh, I think we're gonna compete very strongly at every tournament we go to. So I don't really care who's there. We're kind of ready to compete.
How important is it mentally when you're playing these tournaments to have a good showing so people know when we get ready for postseason or Pac-12, wow, we better watch out. Arizona's got a pretty good golf team.
I mean, mentally, I don't really think it's any real pressure. It's just kind of playing the same game we play at home all the time. Um, I mean, I think we definitely are a little bit of an overshadowed team right now, just because people haven't really, I wouldn't say have seen us like on the national stage as much probably in the last 5 or 6 years. So like they're definitely like not thinking so much about the Wildcats, but I think we got a pretty good chance, like coming through and playing really good golf the rest of the spring, and then kind of like getting people to notice us. Like, wow, this team's a real contender, especially playing the national championship in Arizona. But yeah, I don't really see like there's not like there is like a little bit of a mental aspect, but I think most of us kind of like cancel out the noise and just kind of play our game and just play some good golf. And I mean, good golf will settle anything.
Do you like that, being under the radar and, people aren't looking at you and then you post these numbers like, whoa, where'd this come from?
I mean, yeah, I do. I like it a little bit. I mean, we've kind of, I would say I've kind of had to play with a chip on my shoulder. I wouldn't say I have the most flashy game ever. I mean, I sometimes wonder why I've gotten to the level I am. I don't hit it very far. I don't do anything that's super flashy, but I kind of get the job done. And I think that's kind of similar to kind of how the team plays a little bit, where we just kind of don't do anything flashy. We don't have, I mean, obviously Trevor's probably one of the bigger names in college golf right now, being top 10 PGAU, but we don't have like a couple of the big names that a lot of like the analysts are talking about, or like the sports writers are talking about in college golf. But we get the job done because we got a lot of experience. We've got a lot of older guys who've competed really well in the past. So I think experience and everything like that is hugely important, especially going into the postseason and the rest of the spring.
David, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, David. Appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, we'll start up with questions now for Coach Anderson. Seth, we'll start off with you.
Hi, Coach. Thanks for joining us. Just talk to me a little bit about the travel and logistics of going to San Diego and just how that works to keep everybody safe.
Yeah, thanks, and thank you both for joining us today. I'm excited that our team's being covered, and really appreciate the time that you guys are designated to our program. So thank you. Yeah, so we're headed to the Palm Springs area for the Prestige this week, and the scheduling for the spring has changed a little from the traditional events that we play, and we're fortunate to have a spot. Uh, at the field sizes, there's 24 teams. It's large. There's more people trying to play in the spring, especially in great climates. And thus, and we were one of these teams added to a great event here. So we're very appreciative for UC Davis and Stanford to have this opportunity for our team to come over. It makes a lot of sense for us to play because we can drive. We're taking 2 large vehicles so that we can keep the team separated. Some of the details with COVID that we're managing is, just the rooming situations, putting people who are living together now in the same room, and with dinners and a lot of the team camaraderie and the fun things that come with being a college athlete and travel. It is competing, but sometimes the best memories come from those meals and things like that, and those are things that we can't do right now. So that's just part of it, but we'll be doing takeout and bringing it back to the rooms, and we'll miss out on a little bit of the community and bonding that comes with spending 3 or 4 days in the desert together. The other desert, I should say. But that said, I know that as long as the pandemic has been here, part of all of our lives, I sense that some of the people that I interact with, it's kind of starting to wear on them. I'm so thankful and very re-energized to have our team out, to have them compete. I think they're doing a great job managing the real life distractions and the important safety measures. But I think they feel really, really thankful and really excited to have this opportunity too. So for us, it's almost kind of like we're not free, but it's like this rejuvenation. It's like, okay, this was cut out last March, and here we are. We get to, with the same team, spending those last 20 minutes listening to David. It brings a lot of great memory and energy for me too, because he's right. These guys have worked so hard for this opportunity to be in the position that they are heading into this spring, and this tournament's no different. There's going to be 24 teams, 9 of which are from our conference, and we're excited to tee it up this week.
David kind of talked about how much experience you have. What's it like for you as a coach just to, coach a team, be around a team with so much experience and, rounds under their belt?
It's really easy. The guys, they have created this culture, and obviously as coaches, Chris and I have to make sure that we don't become too loose. But I think in the game of golf, it's really easy to be uptight anyway. And I'm an uptight person as it is. The guys will admit that. But these guys are, I have so much confidence in this group, and the best part about it is we're seeing it in qualifying too. And we'll see it in competition last week and this week. But that culture that's been established and created, it's resonating into our younger team, and it's just who we are now. And we had Chase Sienkiewicz shoot 62 the final round of qualifying to win a spot in the qualifying, and that's what happens when you have great players who are getting the job done. Like David said, it just becomes a part of our DNA and who we are. So I mean, obviously we have to keep, Chris and I have to keep a mindful watch on the attitude and energy of our team. But to be honest with you, coaching this team right now is very easy.
Mm-hmm. Then David kind of said that, if things aren't going exactly his way, might be struggling with emotions. What kind of things do you, coach? Because, golf is an emotional game, when things aren't going your way. What kind of things do you tell the team and, try to preach?
We're very big on composure, and if the casual viewer watches our team, I think they would. And I receive compliments a lot about the team and their composure. I think for us, where we get to do some of our better coaching moments is when we're at qualifying or practice. And I think one of the things that's been a little bit evident within our group, especially the older guys, is it's impossible to ignore the goal, and you don't want to ignore the goal. You accept the goal and you set the goal, but it's also impossible to ignore some of the expectations, internal expectations. And I think one thing that happens when we're not performing at the peak level, it's easy to get frustrated. And despite their maturity, I think we're all dealing with that a little bit. And truthfully, we have some great tournaments scheduled, and we think we can win every single one of them. If we do win every single one of them, I'm not going to be surprised. But there's probably going to be a few times this spring where we're not performing exactly how we want to. And it's important to me and our team that we demonstrate the proper composure, because what is really, really important is when we're not performing at the level that we expect to perform, say at Pac-12s or at regionals or at nationals, we need to be able to hit the reset button and be able to perform despite that double bogey that came on an easy hole, or despite the short 3-foot putt missed or something like that. Because there's all kinds of adversity that comes at you with golf, and it's really about how you control your internal emotion, in my opinion. And so that's our big messaging.
That's it for me. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Seth.
So, Jim, talk about the event. And you said there's 9 of the 12 Pac-12 teams playing this weekend. How big is this event in the world of college golf? Who are the big dogs that are going to be out there this week?
Yeah, the field is phenomenal, and this is a tournament that always boasts a great field annually too. So again, we're very appreciative for the opportunity to play. This tournament typically falls at a time where we're lucky enough to compete in Hawaii, and obviously pandemic and budget reasons, the Hawaii tournament wasn't possible. So the opportunity to be here is something that we're very appreciative for. The teams that are coming, it's a lot of California schools too. In addition, there's a few Big 12 schools as well. Texas Tech has a great team, TCU as well, SMU. So some of the schools in the southern part of the U.S. are getting in too. And I think it's a little early, and I know the rankings have come out, and our team, of course, will see that and feel pride on, being ranked as high as we are and want to keep that ranking. But I think it's a little early to know who the big dogs in college golf are, including us. We think we could be one of those teams. We believe we are one of those teams, but I think people have to start playing competitive rounds and posting tournament results before we're really going to know who they are. But as it goes in the Pac-12, like so many of our sports, you're going to go 8 and 9 deep to get qualified for the postseason. So, I think if we play this tournament and we're one of the best or the best Pac-12 school, there's no question in my mind we'll have a chance to win this tournament.
What are the pros and cons of playing against so many other Pac-12 schools, competing against them this early in the season?
I don't know if there's any cons. I mean, I think as golfers, especially the ones we recruit to the U of A, we want to tee it up in the best tournaments always. And without getting into the weeds on some of the nuances with college golf, this particular season they've waived one of the requirements to qualify for postseason, which is called the 500 rule, which means you can schedule wherever you want with no consequence if you don't play well. The idea of playing the most beefed up schedule you can, especially for us, I mean, you couldn't hit at a better time because we have such a deep and great team, competitive team. So we're trying to beef up everywhere. We're trying to play the best of the best every single time. And the college rankings reflect that. The World Amateur rankings reflect that. The PGA Tour U rankings reflect that. All of these things are external though, Rich. These are things that our team knows about, but it's my job to kind of remind them that that's not how you play on the PGA Tour. I mean, it's an avenue to get there, is to have a great ranking. But the truth is, it's like all about picking your target and following your routine and trying to execute and be as simple as you possibly. You make it as simple as you possibly can when you're playing and enjoying it. That's what my job is. So, we're trying to put our team in a position to beat the best every single week.
Forgive my ignorance on this, but it's a PGA West, and like David said, there's a bunch of different courses out there. Talk about the track that you're going to play and the difficulty of it.
Yeah, so it's always exciting to go to a new site. And I actually called a coach this morning who had a team that's played in this event several times. They've won it too. So he was kind enough to share a couple of notes. And I think for us, it's going to be really important in the practice round to get some of the lines down, the target lines, and we'll have to anticipate different wind directions, because as it goes with desert golf, and this is true for us, we can adjust to desert golf, but we do need to know where the lines are, and a lot of times even at Sawilo or home course, there's a few places where hole number 11, we know exactly where we need that ball to start and finish for us to have the wide landing area. If you're coming in from Minnesota or Iowa or Florida, or you pick at any other state and you're playing in our tournament at Sawilo, you need to play hole 11 a couple times before you feel really good making a swing up there. So my message for our guys in the practice round is going to be, listen, let's make sure we have good lines. And it might be a different line. David does it. He mentioned earlier, he doesn't hit it quite as far as someone like Trevor or Chase, you know, and Brad and Briggsy both hit it pretty far. So everyone's lines could be a little bit different, but it's important that we pick the right lines and make good committed swings and feel comfortable with those lines in the practice round, so that that can carry over and compound into some more great play through the 3 rounds of the tournament.
Last one for me. You said there's going to be some teams from the Midwest. People want to get out of the weather up north, come down here. What's your reaction for coaches or players for the first time that are coming from a Minnesota or someplace in the Big Ten, and they come down here and they see cactus in the middle? They got to carry over. What's the reaction? What do they ask about desert golf?
Desert golf can be very intimidating for people who are especially coming out of the winter, and you know, that sets up well for us. But I also know that the conditions of the grass and the conditions, chipping, pitching, and putting, oftentimes at the courses we're competing at are so pristine. Because if you think about it, we're the ones that manage June, July, and August, right? That's like, so this vortex that people are living in and looking at us like we're the luckiest people in the world. I get it. I do think we are. We live in the best area you can possibly live in my opinion. But you know, those people aren't flocking to see us in June and July. So that's kind of our, like, hey, this is our time. Like we're gonna suck it up through the hot summer months, and now it's time for us to enjoy. So they're playing their golf in you know, June, July, and August, but we're playing our like summer golf, our best golf right now in the desert. So you know, the folks that come and visit, a team just came and played at one of the resorts here in town this week. A friend of mine and his team, they came down. He said, "Man, the desert is so good for your soul." And I thought that was a good reminder, because I think, you know, I'm so thankful to live here and coach here and have the opportunity to be a part of our program, because Tucson is so great. The desert golf is phenomenal, and I couldn't, you know, like, especially this time of year, you just can't live in a better place.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Rich.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us today. Hope everyone has a great rest of their Friday here.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks for coming.
Good luck, Jim.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Matt.